Hey, True Believers. Chris Mack coming at you with Harley Quinn #2. This was during the Rebirth era, and I want to give a shout out to Tanya for hooking me up with this book. She had it in one of her live auctions, and I grabbed it because the cover is absolutely beautiful. This was the variant, this wasn't the main cover. So that was primarily where my interest kind of stopped, because here's where I'm torn. This was during the Jimmy Palmiotti and Amanda Conner era, where it was just as ridiculous as the modern Harley comics that we've gone over. But Jimmy Palmiotti, even though he gets wordy in this book, there's still like a somewhat cohesive plot compared to, like, I don't remember what issue it was that we went over, but it was like all over the place. And it just kind of killed your brain a little bit. So let's talk about who made this first. The print date on this was October 2016. So that's pretty apt for the story. So we'll get into that, as I said, in a second. This is called The Coney Island of the Damned. Jimmy Palmiotti and Amanda Conner writers. Brett Belvin's layouts. Chad Hardin, John Timms finishes. Alex Sinclair colors. Dave Sharp letters. And then there's everyone else working. And this is exactly why I like the variant, because it's Bill Sienkiewicz. I always enjoy his art. Harley Quinn was created by Paul Dini and Bruce Timm. So they kind of give you some backstory. But instead of like when we went over Cosmic Ghost Rider #1, remember how they just used the panels with no dialogue? The art drove the narrative. They expect you to read all that. And they maybe couldn't even, give you like a blurb, like on a page with maybe like one or two zombies coming out of the shadows or something. But you're just kind of like, you open that up and you're like, oh my god, that's a lot to read. So it's essentially, and this was another thing that kind of killed me. Again, Harley Quinn's always been kind of ditzy, but during the New 52 and Rebirth, and still to this day, they've turned her into DC's Deadpool. Always cracking jokes, pop culture references, and it's really brought down the character. As I've said in past reviews, I think that's why a lot of people are really leaning towards Punchline now, because Harley's just a joke. That's why I really appreciate what James Tynion IV is doing when he's brought Harley into the Joker War, because it feels like her again, where she'll make a joke here and there, but you see the smartness and the strength behind her, because that's what Harley is. She is a femme fatale, just like Punchline is. So anyway, apparently there's like a bad batch of hot dogs here on Coney Island, and it turned a bunch of people into zombies. There's this character named the Red Tool or something like that. He got his arm bit, and Harley has what's called like a poop catapult, and they use the poop catapult to shoot him to the hospital to get his arm reattached. The premise there, you're just kind of like, this hurts. But I do appreciate that, at least for the most part, the panels aren't flat. I like Amanda Conner's artwork. She does a really good job. I will give her that. But anyway, so what they do is Harley says, tell me where he's going to land. Tell me his trajectory. And she starts, and I did laugh at this, she starts shooting out the windows of the hospital. And they're like, oh, wait, he's going down another lower level. And so she starts shooting out another level of the hospital's windows for this guy to land in. And this dude's like, it's Nam all over again. So that's about where my laughing for this book stopped, because after that, it kind of starts getting into all the other books, because I kind of feel like they sort of started stretching themselves thin, because we had Harley, and then we had Harley and her gang of Harleys, and there was a couple of other Harley books. There was Harley and Power Girl, and it just got very, very convoluted. And the characters are very one-dimensional. Like, her gang of Harleys are very flat. There's no depth to them whatsoever. And so again, like I said, compared to some of the other Harley stuff we've seen, at least the panels aren't boring. At least there's some dynamicness to it. We see that the SWAT is on the scene. They don't know what to do. And so Harley makes the idea of saying, well, why don't we bring up an infected and someone who's been bitten and see if they're going to change. And she gets dragged down into the madness. And as I said, the print date on this was October 2016. So having a zombie story, as I said, is apt. And again, Amanda Conner's artwork is nice. See how the dynamicness of her falling, instead of it being like a flat purple background, or... Anyway, if you guys are not sure what I'm talking about when I say flat, there's a book out there called How to Draw the Marvel Way. I can't remember if it came out in the late 80s, early 90s. I used to own a copy and it fell apart. But it would show you how, for example, it would show like Reed Richards and Iron Man and Thor walking through a door. And they showed like how you do like a straight on shot and it's flat and boring. But when you change the Dutch angle kind of like this, you get some dynamicness to it. Same thing here where Harley jump kicks. I kind of feel like they should have brought her in just a little bit more, but see how it's dynamic and not boring? That's what I mean by when the panels are flat. Now, again, as I said, Harley used to be a femme fatale. She would look at you and smile and then smash your head in with her mallet. Here, this is what I don't like, how she goes, I guess I'm going to have to take you disintegrating deadsters and expedite your decomposition process. And you're just like, ugh. And then, you know, in the immortal words of the spandex sport and Aussie goddess with the golden locks, let's get physical. She was not like Deadpool, well, modern Deadpool, not original Deadpool. She was not a pop culture spewing queen, just to say. So yeah, again, I do like Amanda Connor's artwork. I just think the story is boring. And again, you know, when you get the explainer boxes, dialogue boxes, whatever you want to call them, it starts getting a little wordy again, and it starts to wear it down, and it starts to feel a little bit like a chore. So and here's what kills me too, is like, for example, Jimmy Palmiotti's All-Star Western, which followed Jonah Hex during the New 52. The first and second half of that arc is exquisite. It's not wordy, it's entertaining, it's action, it's drama. If you haven't read it, it's kind of like a buddy cop series where Jonah Hex teams up with, who was the original Arkham owner? I think it's Jeremiah Arkham. And so it's like this unlikely team during the Old West of Gotham. And it's great, so I don't understand why they decided to just go bonkers with Harley after what Paul Dini and Bruce Timm set up with Harley originally in the animated series, and then later on in the main 616 universe. I don't know if it was just an idea to try to be like, hey, we need our own Deadpool. Because some of the jokes, like, you know, they try to explain what a mother is, and they're like, oh, did you actually just eat that pizza without washing the zombie goo and poop off your hands? Oh, yay, Harley and poop jokes. And then, yeah, the panel of her sucking her fingers is like, So again, there's some okay jokes. I will give that when Palmiotti and Connors were on it, they did try to be funny at points, but it just felt like it was too much. Like if you read issue 1, you know, this was issue 1 of Rebirth, the title of their book was Afterbirth. That's not Harley. That's not something she would do. That's why during this time I really did think that Adam's Glasses Harley Quinn was a lot closer to the original her, but she was more dark. So it was like they couldn't find that balance that she had pre-Flashpoint. So yeah, I dipped out at during New 52 because I got tired of the jokes. You know, the whole, oh, holy moly, whack-a-mole, it just goes through this book, and it just kills me, you know what I mean? Harley's not ditzy in that regard, and there shouldn't be that much sitting and talking. The only redeeming grace for me was that at least they tried to make it funny. And I saw them at a Comic-Con one year, and they said that they tried to make it funny, and they tried to push the envelope with DC and the type of the jokes they told. So I can appreciate that, but that shouldn't have been with a character that already had an established backstory. They should have grabbed a book that was kind of low-selling, like maybe, for example, do like a Booster Gold and Blue Beetle. Because, you know, they were always kind of jokey, but they could be serious at times, and I could kind of see them doing something like that, but not with Harley. And that's why I think a lot of people who are Harley fans have dipped out for that reason. Because if you go back right before Flashpoint, if you read Gotham City Sirens, you'll understand what I'm talking about. So I give this one a 4 out of 10. I like Amanda Connor's artwork. At least the panels are engaging. Some of the jokes are okay, but overall, this just falls short of what Harley is supposed to be. In this particular cover, because this is Bill Sienkiewicz, that got me excited right off the bat. So if this has intrigued you to read it, to kind of see what I'm talking about, and you can kind of read it in its whole entirety, that's the word I'm looking for, then please first and foremost support your local comic shop and pick up a copy. If you've enjoyed this review, we really would appreciate it if you take a moment to hit like, share, and subscribe. Helps the club channel more than you could possibly know. And if you wouldn't mind hitting that fancy little Quinn bell next to subscribe, that way as we continue to upload content, you guys will get notified. Come to the channel, and we love talking with y'all and hearing your feedback down in the comments below or on our social media pages, which I'll make sure to leave the links down in the description below. So with all that said, thank you so much for stopping by. Hope you all continue to have an absolutely amazing day reading, and happy hunting, true believers.